The Great Hall of the Galactic Council was never quiet. It was the most powerful place in the galaxy. Thousands of alien species gathered here. Tall beings with glowing skin, small creatures with many eyes, and strange forms that no human could fully understand. Voices filled the air in many languages. Lights from floating screens moved across the walls. It was always loud, always alive. But today, everything was different. The hall was silent. Not a single voice could be heard. Every eye, every sensor, every mind was focused on one single figure standing at the center of the chamber. A human. He stood alone on a circular platform. No chains. No guards. No weapons. Just a man in a simple uniform. The fabric was worn. There was a small tear near his shoulder. A faint stain of dried blood marked one sleeve. But his posture was straight. His face was calm. And his eyes showed no fear. High above him, the members of the Galactic Council sat in their elevated seats. They were powerful beings, rulers of entire star systems. To them, humans were new,
young, weak,
insignificant. One of the council leaders leaned forward. Its body was tall and thin, made of shifting light. Its voice echoed across the chamber, deep and heavy. "Human," it said, "you stand accused of multiple violations of interstellar law." The words echoed, but the human did not move. Another leader spoke, its voice sharp like metal. "You entered restricted space. You destroyed 3 defense fleets. You interfered with protected systems." A low murmur spread through the chamber, but it quickly died again. The human remained silent. The council did not like silence. "Answer," the first leader demanded. For a moment, nothing happened. Then slowly the human lifted his head. His eyes met the leaders above. "I heard you," he said. His voice was calm, clear. Not loud, but strong enough to reach every corner of the hall. A few delegates shifted in their seats. Something about his tone felt wrong. Too steady. Too controlled. "You heard us," the leader replied, "but you have not answered." The human took a small breath. "I did answer," he said. The chamber grew tense. The leaders exchanged looks. "You will speak clearly," one of them said. "This is not a place for games." The human gave a small nod. "I sent messages," he said. "Many times." A ripple of confusion spread across the hall. "Messages," one delegate repeated. "Yes," the human said. "Warnings." For a second, no one spoke. Then suddenly, laughter broke out. It started small, then grew louder. Different alien voices joined in. Some clicked. Some hissed. Some made deep rumbling sounds. The idea was absurd. A human warning the Galactic Council? "You believe you can warn us?" One leader said, its voice filled with mockery. "You are not even a full member of this council." The human did not react. "I know," he said. The laughter slowly faded. "But you still came here," another leader said. "Alone." "Yes." "Why?" The human paused. Then he gave a simple answer. "Because you did not listen." The words hung in the air. For the first time, the chamber felt uneasy. Not afraid, but not comfortable either. The council leader leaned forward again. "You speak as if you have authority," it said. "You do not." The human looked around the hall. Thousands of beings. All powerful. All confident. Then he looked back at the leaders. "I am not here to show authority," he said. "I am here to confirm something." A few delegates leaned forward. "Confirm what?" one asked. The human's expression did not change. "That you have made your decision." The chamber became still again. The leaders exchanged another glance. "You misunderstand," one of them said coldly. "We have not yet decided your fate." The human shook his head slightly. "No," he said. "You decided long ago." A long pause followed. Something was wrong. Something no one could clearly explain. The human was not acting like someone on trial. He was not afraid. He was not begging. He was not even angry. He was simply certain. The council leader raised its hand. "This is enough," it said. "You stand guilty. Your actions have caused damage to protected systems. Your presence here is an insult to this council." The human closed his eyes for a brief moment. Then he opened them again. "This is your final choice," he said quietly. The chamber reacted instantly. Anger, shock, confusion. "You dare speak like this?" one leader shouted. "You are in no position to give warnings." The human did not raise his voice. "If you do this," he said, "there will be consequences." The words were simple, but they carried weight. Heavy weight. The council leader stood. "Enough," it thundered. The entire chamber froze. "By the authority of the Galactic Council," the leader declared, "you are sentenced to immediate execution. No trial. No delay. No second chance." The decision was final. For a brief moment, time seemed to slow. The human stood still. He did not move. He did not resist. He simply looked up at the council one last time. And then, he smiled. It was not a wide smile. Not a happy one. Just a small, knowing smile. That was the moment some of the oldest beings in the chamber felt something they had not felt in a very long time.
Doubt.
But it was too late. A bright light formed above the platform. Pure energy gathered into a single point. Then, it fired. The beam struck the human instantly. There was no sound. No scream. No movement. When the light faded, he was gone. Nothing remained. The platform was empty. The chamber stayed silent for a few seconds. Then slowly the noise returned. Voices rose again. Conversations resumed. The council moved forward. To them, it was over. Just another judgment. Just another species reminded of its place. But far away, beyond the reach of the council, in the quiet darkness of space, a signal was received.
Short.
Simple. Final. Execution confirmed. And on Earth, everything changed. Far from the bright lights of the Galactic Council, far from the noise of alien voices and endless decisions, there was only silence. Deep beneath the surface of Earth, hidden under layers of rock and metal, a secure facility stood untouched by the outside world. No maps showed its location. No satellites could detect it. It was a place built not for war, but for the moment war became unavoidable. Inside, everything was calm. Soft lights glowed across clean walls. Screens displayed quiet streams of data. Engineers and officers moved slowly, focused on their tasks. No one rushed. No one panicked, because for years, nothing had happened. Until now. A small light blinked on one of the central screens. At first, no one noticed. Then it blinked again. A technician looked up. He frowned. "That's strange," he whispered. The signal was weak, but it carried a priority code. A code that had not been used in a very long time. His fingers moved quickly across the controls. "Confirm source," he said. Another technician turned in his chair. "Running check, hold on." The room slowly became quiet. One by one, people began to notice. Something was wrong. The signal grew stronger, clearer. The system recognized it. And then, the message appeared. 2 simple words. Execution confirmed. No one spoke. The air felt heavy. A woman standing near the center of the room stepped forward. Commander Elena Voss. Her uniform was dark and simple, marked with a single symbol on her shoulder. Her face was calm, but her eyes were sharp. She had seen many things in her life, but this was the moment she had hoped would never come. "Verify it," she said quietly. Her voice cut through the silence. The technicians moved quickly. Signal matches, authorized pattern. Encryption confirmed. Origin, Galactic Council Chamber. Each word made the room colder. Elena stared at the screen. She did not blink. She did not move. "Identity?" she asked. A pause. Then the answer came. "It's him." That was all anyone needed to hear. No name. No rank. Just him. The room went completely still. Everyone knew what that meant. The man who had been sent to the council had not gone there to defend himself. He had gone there to deliver a message. And now, that message had been ignored. Elena closed her eyes for a brief second. Not in sadness. Not in fear. But in acceptance. "This confirms it," she said. A young officer looked at her, his voice uncertain. "Ma'am, should we wait for further orders?" Elena opened her eyes. No, she said.
Her voice was calm. Too calm.
We already have our orders. The officer froze. Then slowly he nodded. Because he understood. Everyone in that room understood. For years, humanity had prepared for this exact moment.
Not openly.
Not loudly, but quietly.
Carefully.
While the rest of the galaxy watched humans grow, trade, and explore, Earth had been building something else. Something hidden. Something the galaxy never expected. Elena stepped closer to the main console. Activate Phase 1, she said. For a second, no one moved. Then the system responded. A soft tone echoed through the facility. Lights shifted from white to deep red. Screens changed instantly. Maps appeared. Large, complex, detailed. Stars, systems,
Fleets.
targets. Phase 1 activated. The system confirmed. Across the room, people began to move. Not in panic, but with purpose. Fleet signals coming online. Deep space units responding. Defense grids active. One by one, systems woke up. Like something long asleep, finally opening its eyes. Elena watched everything carefully. Status of outer fleets, she asked. A technician answered quickly. Standing by. Awaiting command. And the silent network? A short pause. Then, fully operational. Elena gave a small nod. Good. Very good. The silent network was something the galaxy did not know about. A system built in secret. A system designed for one purpose only. Control. Complete control. No signals could escape it. No enemy could detect it. Once activated, there would be no warning. Elena turned toward the large screen at the front of the room. The image of the Galactic Council chamber appeared. Recorded. Delayed. But clear. She watched the moment again. The humans standing alone. The council speaking. The final judgment. The light. The silence. She did not look away. Play it again, she said. No one questioned her. The scene repeated. Every detail. Every word. Every second. The room remained silent as they watched. When it ended, Elena finally spoke. They were warned. Her voice was quiet, but it carried weight. A senior officer stepped forward. Ma'am, do we still follow full protocol? Elena turned to him. Her eyes were steady. Yes, she said. No changes. The officer hesitated. That means... I know what it means, Elena replied. Her tone did not change. It means we respond exactly as planned. A long silence followed, because everyone knew what planned meant. It meant no negotiation, no second chances, no mercy. The officer took a deep breath. Yes, Commander. Elena looked back at the screen one last time. Then she gave the order. Prepare the fleet. The system responded instantly. Across the solar system, things began to move. Ships hidden in deep space powered on. Weapons long kept silent charged with energy. Stations that looked abandoned came back to life. And far beyond Earth, in the dark between stars, massive shapes shifted quietly. Waiting. Watching. Ready. Back in the command center, the final confirmation appeared. All units awaiting command. Elena stood still. For a brief moment, everything was quiet again. Then she spoke. Send the signal. A technician pressed a single key. The message was short.
Simple. Clear.
Execute. It spread across space faster than light, reaching every hidden fleet, every silent weapon, every prepared system. And in that moment, humanity stopped waiting. Space looked calm, cold, empty, silent. To most of the galaxy, nothing had changed. Stars burned quietly. Trade routes stayed active. Civilian ships moved from system to system without fear. Life continued like it always had. But hidden in that silence, something was waking up. Far beyond the usual travel paths, in the deep dark between stars, a massive object drifted without light. It had no markings, no signals, no visible engines. To any scanner, it looked like nothing. But inside, it was very real. A human ship. Its surface was dark, almost absorbing the light around it. Its shape was smooth, built for speed and stealth. No weapons could be seen from the outside. That was the point. A soft tone echoed inside the ship. Command signal received. Lights slowly turned on across the bridge. Rows of empty stations came alive. Systems booted up one by one. The silence inside the ship began to fade as machines started working. Then, figures appeared, not walking in, not entering through doors. They were already there, hidden in deep sleep chambers. Now they were waking up. A man opened his eyes. Captain Rylan Cross. His breath was slow at first, then steady. He looked around, not confused, not afraid, just focused. "How long?" he asked. A calm voice answered from the system. "Standby duration, 8 years." Rylan nodded slightly. "Message."
A pause.
Then the answer came. "Execution confirmed." For a brief moment, the captain said nothing. He closed his eyes, not in sadness, but in understanding. "So it finally happened," he said quietly. Around him, the rest of the crew began to wake, each one reacting the same way. No panic, no shock, only silence, because they all knew what that message meant. Rylan stood up slowly. "Status report." The system responded immediately. "All systems operational. Stealth active. Weapons locked and ready. Awaiting command." Rylan walked toward the main control panel. "Display targets." The screen lit up. A map of space appeared. Hundreds of points marked in red. Enemy fleets, military bases, communication hubs, all belonging to one species. The same species that had supported the Council's decision. The same species that believed humans were weak. Rylan studied the map carefully. "No updates?" he asked. "No changes," the system replied. "All targets confirmed."
Good.
That made things simple. Very simple. On another part of the ship, a young officer finally spoke. "Sir, are we really doing this?" Rylan did not turn around. "Yes." The officer hesitated. "But all of them?" Rylan looked at the screen. Then he answered. "They made their choice."
His voice was calm.
But it carried something heavy, something final. "This is not war," he continued. "This is consequence." The room went silent again, because deep down, everyone understood. This was not about anger. It was not about revenge. It was about something else. A message. A lesson. Something the galaxy would never forget. Rylan took a slow breath. "Open channel to all units." Channel open. Across the dark space, other hidden ships received the signal. Dozens. Then hundreds. Each one silent. Each one ready. Rylan spoke. "This is Captain Cross. Phase 1 confirmed. Execute all assigned targets." No long speech. No dramatic words. Just a simple order. Execute. Across space, the silence broke. Not with sound, but with action. Near the outer edge of an alien system, a patrol fleet moved slowly. Their ships were large, heavily armed, built for defense. They had no idea what was coming. No warning. No signal. No time. A flash of light appeared for less than a second. Then, their ships stopped. All at once. Engines shut down. Weapons powered off. Communication systems failed. Inside the ships, alarms began to scream. "What's happening?" "System failure. Restore power." But nothing worked, because something unseen had already taken control. A second later, the ships were gone. Not damaged. Not destroyed in a visible explosion.
Just erased. Clean.
Instant. As if they had never existed. Elsewhere, the same thing happened again. And again. And again. Across multiple systems. Entire fleets disappeared. Stations went dark. Military networks collapsed without a single shot fired. Panic spread quickly. What is attacking us? Where are they? Why can't we see them? Leaders shouted orders. Commanders demanded answers. But there were no answers. Because the enemy was invisible. Back on Ryland's ship, the updates came in. Target Alpha, cleared. Target Beta, cleared. Target Gamma, cleared. Each report was calm, precise, final. The young officer stared at the screen. This isn't possible, he whispered. Rylan looked at him. Yes, he said quietly. It is. He turned back to the map. Most of the red points were already gone. Only a few remained. The strongest ones. The core of their power. Prepare next phase, Rylan ordered. The system responded instantly. Phase 2 ready. The officer swallowed nervously. Sir, they're trying to send a distress signal. Rylan shook his head. They can try. A small pause. Then, they won't succeed. Because the silent network was already active. Every signal they sent was blocked. Every message was erased. To the rest of the galaxy, nothing was happening. No war. No attack. Just silence. And that was the most terrifying part. Back on Earth, in the underground command center, Elena watched everything. Every system. Every report. Her face did not change. Status, she asked. Outer defenses eliminated, an officer said. Enemy fleets reduced by 70%. Elena nodded. Continue. She did not celebrate. She did not smile. Because this was only the beginning. Back in space, Rylan gave the next order. Move to final targets. The ship shifted silently. Faster than anything the galaxy had ever seen. Toward the enemy's most important locations. Their last defense. Their last hope. And as the human fleets closed in, one truth became clear. This was not a battle. It was not even a war. It was something far worse. It was a demonstration. And the galaxy had never seen anything like it before. At first, no one understood what was happening. Across the galaxy, ships continued their routes. Trade stations stayed open. Civilian worlds went on with their normal lives. To most species, everything looked the same. But for one empire, everything was falling apart. Inside the central command chamber of that alien species, chaos had taken over. Report, one of their leaders shouted. The room was filled with noise. Officers spoke over each other. Screens flashed with warnings. Entire sections of their network were going dark. We lost contact with Outer Fleet 3. Defense Grid 7 is not responding. Multiple colonies have gone offline. The leader slammed its claw against the console. How is this possible? No one had an answer. Because there were no signs of attack. No enemy ships. No energy readings. No explosions. Just disappearance. Systems failed without reason. Ships stopped responding. Entire fleets vanished like they had never existed. It made no sense. Scan all sectors, another commander ordered. Find the source. We are scanning, an officer replied, panic in their voice. There is nothing. Nothing. That word echoed across the room. Nothing. But something was clearly happening. Something they could not see. Something they could not stop. Far away, near the edge of one of their major colonies, a group of defense ships moved into position. They were heavily armed, ready for battle. Their sensors were at full power. Their weapons were charged. Their crews were alert. This time they would be ready. Any contact? The captain asked. Negative, the sensor officer replied. No enemy detected. A long silence followed. The captain frowned. Stay alert, he said. Something is out there. For a brief moment, everything seemed calm. Then, all systems glitching. The lights flickered. The screens distorted. What's happening? We're losing control. The ship's engines powered down without command. Weapon systems shut off. Communication channels filled with static. No. Bring them back online, the captain shouted. But it was already too late. A strange ripple passed through space. It was almost invisible, like heat moving through air. It touched the ships for less than a second. And then, they were gone. No explosion. No debris. No sound. Just empty space. Where a fleet had existed, there was now nothing. Back in the command chamber, the reports kept coming. Colony 12 is gone. Fleet 9 is gone. Defense Station 4 gone. Each report hit harder than the last. The leader stepped back slowly. This is not an attack, it whispered. The room fell silent. It's a purge. The word sent a chill through everyone present. Because that meant something terrible. This was not random. This was planned,
Precise.
controlled. Every target was chosen. Every move was perfect. Who is doing this? An officer asked, fear in their voice. No one answered. But deep down, they already knew. The memory of the council chamber came back. The human, the warning, the calm voice. If you do this, there will be consequences. The leader's eyes widened. Contact the Galactic Council, it ordered. Now. We are trying, an officer replied. Signals are not going through. What do you mean not going through? Every channel is blocked. The room went still.
Completely still.
Because that meant one thing. They were alone. Cut off. Isolated. No help was coming. Far above their homeworld, space remained quiet. Stars shined like always. But something else was there now. Something hidden. Something watching. A human fleet. Thousands of ships, spread across the dark. Invisible. Silent. Waiting. On the bridge of the lead ship, Captain Rylan Cross stood still, watching the final targets on the screen. Only a few red points remained. The strongest defenses. The core command. The heart of the Empire. Status, he asked. All outer targets cleared. The system replied. Enemy communications disabled. No distress signals have escaped. Rylan nodded. Everything was going exactly as planned. No mistakes. No delays. No resistance. A young officer looked at him. Sir, they are trying to regroup around their homeworld. Rylan looked at the screen. Yes, he said. That is expected. Should we intercept? Rylan shook his head.
No.
The officer looked confused. No, sir. Rylan's eyes remained fixed on the display. Let them gather, he said. A pause. Then he added. It will make the message clearer. The officer said nothing, because now he understood. This was not about winning. That had already happened. This was about showing. Showing the entire galaxy what happens when you ignore a warning. Back on the alien homeworld, panic had spread everywhere. Cities were shutting down. People were trying to escape. Ships filled the skies, trying to leave the planet. But none of them could jump to hyperspace. Their systems were locked. Controlled.
Trapped.
Why can't we leave? Civilians cried. Fix the engines. Do something. But there was nothing to do. Above them, the sky remained dark.
Quiet.
Watching. Inside the command chamber, the leader collapsed into its seat. We need to surrender, one officer said. The leader looked up slowly. Surrender to what? There was no enemy to speak to. No signal to send. No one listening. Only silence. Heavy. Endless. Back in space, Rylan took a slow breath. Prepare final phase, he said. The system responded. Final phase ready. The entire fleet shifted position. Perfect alignment. Perfect timing. Thousands of ships moving as one. Below them, the homeworld turned slowly. Unaware. Helpless. Rylan looked at it for a long moment. Then he spoke. Begin. There was no loud command. No dramatic moment. Just one word. And that was enough. Because in that second, the last stage began. And for the first time, the galaxy was about to witness something it would never forget. Not a war. Not a battle. But an ending. The galaxy had started to notice. At first, it was only small signs. A missing fleet here. A silent system there. Trade routes that suddenly went dark. Ships that never arrived. Then the pattern became clear. One entire species was disappearing.
Slowly. Silently. Completely.
In the halls of the Galactic Council, the usual noise had returned, but it was different now. The voices were lower. The tone was uneasy. Even the most powerful beings could feel it. Something was wrong. Very wrong. Report the situation, one council leader demanded. A tall figure stepped forward, its body flickering with unstable light. We have lost contact with over 80% of their controlled systems, it said. Military fleets, colonies, and stations are no longer responding. Murmurs spread across the chamber. That is not possible, another leader said. An entire empire cannot just vanish. But it is happening, the figure replied. The chamber grew tense. Cause? The first leader asked. The figure hesitated. That is the problem, it said. We do not know. No enemy had been seen. No war had been declared. No signals of battle had been detected. Just silence. The same silence that filled the chamber on the day the human was executed. That memory returned like a shadow. The man standing alone. The warning. The calm voice. A low whisper moved through the council. Could this be them? No one wanted to say the word. Humans. The leader raised its voice. This is speculation, it said. Humans do not have this level of power. But even as it spoke, doubt began to grow. Because the facts did not lie. Something was destroying an entire species. And doing it perfectly. Far away, near the dying empire's homeworld, the last of their military forces gathered. Hundreds of ships formed a defensive line in orbit. Massive weapons pointed outward. Energy shields surrounded the planet like a glowing shell. This was their final stand. Their last hope. Inside one of the command ships, the atmosphere was heavy. We have to hold, the fleet commander said. Reinforcements will come. But even as he said it, he knew it was not true. No signals had gone out. No help was coming.
Still they prepared.
Weapons charged. Shields reinforced. Eyes fixed on the darkness beyond. Waiting.
Hoping.
Praying. Then, contact. Every screen lit up at once. But not in the way they expected. There were no incoming ships. No visible enemy.
Just space itself changing.
What is that? Someone whispered. A faint distortion appeared above the planet. Like a ripple. Like reality itself was bending. Then another. And another. Soon, the entire sky was filled with them. Thousands of distortions.
Perfectly placed.
Perfectly still. The fleet commander felt something cold move through his body. They're here, he said. But where? An officer asked. The answer came a second later. Every distortion shifted at once. And suddenly, they became visible. Human ships. Thousands of them. Silent.
Dark.
Watching. The alien fleet opened fire instantly. Beams of energy shot across space. Missiles launched in waves. Weapons designed to destroy entire moons were unleashed without hesitation. But they hit nothing. The human ships moved like shadows. Faster than thought. Untouchable. Target them, the commander shouted. We can't lock on, the weapons officer replied. They're moving too fast. One by one, the alien ships began to fail. Not from damage. Not from attack. Their systems simply stopped. Engines died. Weapons shut down. Shields collapsed. Panic spread through the fleet. What's happening? I've lost control. Systems are not responding. The commander stared at the screen in disbelief. This isn't a battle, he said slowly. No. A voice replied from behind him. The commander turned. For a brief moment, he thought he saw something impossible. A human figure standing inside the ship.
Calm. Still.
Watching. Then it was gone. Like it had never been there. And in that moment, he understood. This is the end. Above the planet, the human fleet moved into position. Perfect formation. Perfect timing. Not a single mistake. On the bridge of the lead ship, Captain Rylan Cross stood silently. His eyes were fixed on the world below. Final target confirmed, the system said. Planetary defenses at maximum capacity. Rylan nodded. Status of enemy fleet? Neutralized. Any active resistance? None. Rylan took a slow breath. Below him, billions of lives moved in fear. Cities filled with panic. Families trying to escape. Leaders trying to find answers. But there were none. Because the decision had already been made. Far away, in Earth's command center, Commander Elena watched the same scene. Her hands were steady. Her face showed nothing. Final phase ready, an officer said. Elena did not hesitate. Proceed. Back in space, Rylan received the signal. He closed his eyes for a brief second. Then he gave the final order. Execute. There was no sound. No warning. No countdown. The human fleet acted as one. A single controlled strike. Energy moved across space in perfect lines. It touched the planet's defenses first. They collapsed instantly, as if they had never existed. Then, the energy reached the surface. For a moment, everything was still. Then the lights of the planet began to fade. Cities went dark. Systems shut down. Life stopped. No explosions. No fire. Just silence.
Deep.
Endless. The planet remained in space. But it was empty. Completely empty. The fleet commander's final transmission never left his ship, because there was no one left to receive it. Back in the Galactic Council chamber, the truth finally arrived. A full report.
Clear.
Undeniable. An entire species.
Gone.
Not defeated. Not conquered. Erased. The chamber fell into complete silence. No one spoke. No one moved. Because now, they understood. The human had not been making a threat. He had been stating a fact. And they had ignored it. Above the empty world, the human fleet remained still. Watching. Waiting. Because their message was not finished yet. The Galactic Council chamber was silent again. But this time, it was not the silence of power. It was the silence of fear. No voices echoed across the great hall. No debates filled the air. No laughter, no pride, no confidence. Only stillness. Heavy.
Cold.
Uncomfortable. The seats that once held proud leaders now felt smaller. The beings who once believed they controlled the galaxy now sat quietly, avoiding each other's gaze. Because something had changed. Something they could not ignore. At the center of the chamber, the main display floated in the air. It showed a single image. A star system. Empty. Where once there had been an empire, there was now only darkness. No signals. No ships. No life. Just silence. An entire species gone. Not defeated. Not conquered. Erased. A council member finally spoke, its voice low and uncertain. This cannot be real. But no one answered. Because it was real. They had confirmed it again and again. Every scan. Every report. Every system. The result was always the same. Nothing remained. Another member shifted in its seat. We must respond, it said. We cannot allow this to continue. Respond. A different voice replied, weak and shaking. To what? That question hung in the air. Because there was no enemy fleet attacking them. No visible threat moving toward them. Only a single truth. Humanity had acted. And they had finished. A long silence followed. Then suddenly, the main display flickered. Every head turned at once. A signal was coming in. Unknown source. Unstoppable. It pushed through every defense, every firewall, every system the council had. Within seconds, it took control of the entire chamber. The screen went dark. Then slowly, a symbol appeared. Simple.
Clean.
Human. The room froze. No one moved. No one spoke. Then, a voice.
Calm. Clear. Cold.
This is Earth. The words echoed across the chamber. Every being listened. Every mind focused. No one dared interrupt. You were warned. The voice did not rise. It did not show anger. But it carried weight. The kind of weight that could crush entire worlds. You chose to ignore that warning. A brief pause. Images appeared on the screen. The council chamber. The humans standing alone. The moment of execution. The beam of light. The silence after. The images disappeared. Another pause. You killed one of us. The words were simple, but they struck harder than any weapon. No one in the chamber could speak. No one could defend themselves. Because they knew it was true. The voice continued. We responded. Another pause. The image of the empty star system returned.
Cold. Dark.
Endless. This was not war. The council members felt something they had not felt in a very long time.
Fear.
Real fear. This was consequence. The word echoed. Consequence. Not revenge. Not anger. Just consequence. The voice remained calm. We do not seek conflict. A few beings in the chamber shifted slightly.
Hope.
A small, fragile hope. Maybe this would end here. Maybe there was still a chance. But then, the voice spoke again. But we will not be tested. The hope faded instantly. If you threatened humanity, the screen changed again. Now it showed something new. Human fleets. Thousands of ships. Hidden across space. Watching. Waiting. Prepared. The scale was impossible to understand. Impossible to measure. Impossible to fight. There will be no second warning. The chamber felt colder. Heavier. Darker. Next time, a long pause followed. Long enough for every being to feel the weight of what was coming. There will be nothing left. The screen went black. The signal ended. And just like that, it was over. The chamber remained silent. No one moved. No one spoke. Because now, they understood everything. The human who stood before them had not been alone. He had never been weak. He had not come to beg. He had come to give them a choice. And they had made the wrong one. Slowly, one of the oldest members of the council leaned back in its seat. Its voice was barely a whisper. We were wrong. No one argued. No one denied it. Because there was nothing left to say. Across the galaxy, the message spread. Not through official channels. Not through reports. But through fear. Stories began to travel. Whispers between traders. Rumors among soldiers. Warnings passed from one world to another. They killed one human, and their entire species disappeared. At first, some did not believe it, but the evidence was there. A whole empire gone. No trace. No survivors. Just silence. And soon, everyone believed. Humanity changed that day. Not their power. That had always been there. But their image. Their place in the galaxy. No longer seen as young. No longer seen as weak. Now, they were something else. Something dangerous. Something patient. Something that did not forget. On Earth, deep within the hidden command center, Commander Elena Voss stood quietly. The screens around her showed one final update. All operations complete. She nodded once. Stand down all units. Yes, Commander. The system slowly powered down. The fleets returned to silence. The weapons went dark. Everything became still again, as if nothing had happened. Elena looked at the screen one last time. The empty system. The final result. Then she turned away. No smile. No pride. No victory. Because this had never been about winning. It had been about proving something. A simple truth. One that the entire galaxy now understood. Humans were not the strongest. They were not the oldest. They were not the most advanced. But they were something far more dangerous. They were patient. And when that patience ended, there was nothing left to stop them.